Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the press, wherever you are, however you're listening to this weekly press briefing. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of our weekly press briefing here at the Executive Mansion in Monrovia, and specifically in the foyer. Today is August 1st, Friday, 2025. I'm always, so today is August 1st, 2025. We are here coming to you again to give you update on the happenings of the Executive Mansion, the actions and activities of the President, decisions he's taking and decisions he's going to make in future. It's also been a very busy week. This is the first press briefing following the Independence Day celebration, as well as the 1 day of National Day of Prayer that was had on Wednesday. And the President is very excited, as always, to work in the interest of the Liberian people, as he's done since his inauguration. So the week has been really busy. Following the dedication of different projects prior to the 26th, climaxing that activity with the national celebration, where Liberians all over the world, including in Liberia, gathered to celebrate an important time for our country, beyond just a day, but to recognize our strides, our struggle, and how far we've come as a country. And our President leading the charge, working with our people, had a marvelous day on July 26th, on Saturday, where his friends within the region came to celebrate with him, but more so listening to our national orator to really bring our consciences to some of the challenges that is faced with our country, but also giving us some grace on the progress that have been made so far, and where he suggests that we ought to do in terms of going forward. And for him, it was a sober opportunity to really talk about some of the challenges we're facing as a country. And our President sees the activities of the July 26th beyond just 1 day, and we all listened to his comment or his speech after the oration. But also, most importantly, the President did recognize ECOWAS for the first time, following ECOWAS support to our peacekeeping processes in Liberia, the role of ECOMOG, the role of the Economic Community of West African States, that he was able to honor the memories and the legacy of those who came to support our country when we were in dire need of that. And our President expressed his deepest appreciation to his neighbors for their part. We saw him giving certificates, or also honoring those who supported our country, from the President of Sierra Leone, but then he was also a fighter or a peacekeeper here in Liberia, to Senegal, a country that also sent us some support, to Nigeria, to Ghana, to, all of our neighbors, Mali, and those who supported, Liberia during the heydays. And the President, again, is really excited that we're able to do that as part of the number of things that he's done so far in really, bringing closure to some of the things that we need to do as a country. Some have been long overdue, but the fact that he was able to do that this time around, the Liberians, I appreciate it. And the President wants to also convey to the Liberian people that he's really thankful for the show of support for this year's independence celebration, from his brothers who came to celebrate with him, to others who celebrated, other Liberians from across the globe in the United States of America, also in the African diaspora, as well as in Canada and other parts. Today, people are proud to be Liberians. Today Liberians are happy to show off themselves, to show to the world I'm a Liberian, especially following the long line of PR processes that have happened with beginning from the President's invitation to Washington to President Trump praising our President, but more importantly, to the president's actions that he's taking in the country, his development initiatives, his efforts in rebuilding our infrastructure, his efforts in the reduction of poverty, to be particular, his efforts in the agriculture sector, in education, in health, and all those key sectors that are part of the arrest agenda for inclusive development. These are, initiatives that are really putting our country up forward, despite the challenges, despite the fact that we're not there yet, despite the fact that we still have challenges when it comes to infrastructure and others. But the fact that Liberians can come together to commemorate this occasion and see that we need to do more is something that the president is thankful to all of you who have celebrated our 178th. Despite the celebration, the president is also saying that, yes, we're 178, but what can we show for all those years? And that is the commitment he lays with every day to make sure that by the time he's leaving office, the legacy he will leave, even though it might not commensurate or it might not compensate for the lost years of our country, but they will take our country somewhere that it ought to be. During the course of the week as well, our president also visited the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company to inspect the ongoing works that they're currently doing there for the construction of the facility that will host fuel and petroleum product for us, and it's important that His Excellency visits ongoing projects to have an appreciation beyond just what his lieutenants will bring to him on paper. And he visited and also saw the consignment of some fuel, a petroleum product that were brought into the country. And for these and many more, the president is excited. And these are things that he intends to do often, and not just sit and listen to his team who will bring him the paper-based report. He also wants us to convey to the LPRC management that he's proud of their efforts so far and that they should do hard work. They should work more. For the president, his interest is to see how best petroleum product or the cost of gasoline and fuel and other lubricants can be reduced so that it can impact the everyday lives, and transportation, for example, and others. So yes, the president was there at LPRC to inspect the product storage terminal that's currently under construction. And interestingly, the management did inform him that the team that is currently doing the construction, they're far above schedule. They had scheduled to have completed this work by October of this year. But from what the updates have been so far, they're over 80% completed for now. And then by September, that will be possible. There will be a possibility for the inauguration or the cutting of ribbon to the facility. This is something that the president is really excited, about, in addition to thanking the Liberian people for their celebration. Also, on Wednesday, when the nation paused for a moment, I'd like to address this particular one. When the nation paused for a moment to pray, to ask God for his guidance. This isn't just because His Excellency wanted us to go and rest or to go and sit back and relax and chill, as people may say. But the essence, as you have followed through, the president did start an initiative of reconciliation. Before now, he started having meetings with different segments of our country, the religious community, the political leaders, people with disabilities, the women, and all of that. And then we went forward to phoning in former presidents on Unification Day to check in with them and just to express, his administration willingness, to work with everyone. Following that, the president did start, as he mentioned during the annual message, a process to really come with terms of our history, reburying our former presidents who served this country without the proper official burial. He did that with President Doe, President Talbot, and now did a national healing and reconciliation program. Following the program, the president has continuously engaged, different population. And this holiday essence was to really call to the center our own consciences, to really look back and thank the Almighty God for His wisdom, for what He's done for our country with all our challenges. And someone have asked, oh, but why would we want to do another fast and prayer day or another prayer day when we already have the National Prayer Day? As you can all recall, the fast and prayer day is a national holiday that happened sometime in April. And the fast and prayer day have passed. And because the president has done a number of initiatives, and this was important as a form of climaxing this, of being thankful to God. And this was an essence and very important for it to happen. And the president again like to extend his appreciation to all Liberians who took up their time to pray for the country. We do know that prayer in of itself may not just walk, to make things happen. It comes with actions. And these are actions the president is taking consistently. However, as a country who believes in God, as a country with diversified religious views, Muslims, Christians, and other nonconformists, will normally come to God for guidance. And this was the president's way of really asking the country to pray for just not the administration, because if you had attended the event, it was a solemn moment to pray for the different challenges, to pray for the unity of our country, pray for reconciliation, pray for our young people who are struggling with drugs and alcohol addiction, pray for youth, pray for education, pray for the soul of our country. For us, we believe in the ultimate presence of the Almighty God. And as the president, who's also a deacon, also a believing Christian, he thought that it was important that we come together and pray to the Almighty God. And to those of us who join in to pray, we thank the Almighty God for you, and we ask God's continuous guidance on your lives and the lives of all of our people. In addition to that, the president has continuously worked to ensure that activities happen, works happen for the country. And as we speak, the president is in office working for the Liberian people. And on yesterday, the president did sign Executive Order number 151. And the executive order is to restrict the exportation of unprocessed rubber and promote domestic industrialization. Now I'll just go very quickly on what the executive order will do. And upon the conclusion of this press briefing, we will publish the executive order on the different platforms of the executive mansion, the social media pages, as well as the website. So key provision, those people who are in the rubber sector, this is specifically for you. Now there's a restriction on the exportation of rubber. One is that the restriction, there's an export restriction that the export of unprocessed rubber, including natural latex, cup lump, bark scrap, ground scrap, and other forms listed under the Schedule A is now restricted. Only processed rubber, such as technically specified rubber, is exempted. Tax and fee requirement. Exporters must comply with new fiscal obligation, including a 4% presumptive tax, Rubber Development Fund Incorporated fees, and a surcharge of US $150 per metric tons. Export permit protocol. Exporters must present official tax and fee receipts, a valid tax clearance, and secure approval from the Ministry of Agriculture, followed by the export permit declaration issued by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. To remit an advance income tax of 4%, small taxpayers, or 2% medium to large taxpayers immediately after export. Strict penalties for non-compliance. Entities that falsify documents or evade provisions of the executive order will face a US 50,000 fine for the first offense, and with repeat violators subject to additional penalties and revocation of export privileges. The Ministry of Agriculture will lead this enforcement of this order in accordance and coordination with the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the Liberia Revenue Authority, and the Rubber Development Fund Incorporated. Joint administrative guidelines will be issued to ensure smooth implementation. This decision aligns with the President's broader vision to strengthen domestic industry and enhance Liberia's support, especially to competitiveness and to create sustainable livelihood opportunities for Liberians. So this executive order was issued on July 31st, 2025. Thank you all for coming. I look forward to taking your questions as we continue this press briefing. Yes, Princess.
Thank you, my name is Princess Kula, and I report for KMT. So of recent, we have witnessed the president, leading our reconciliation program, and the real of some leaders. So do you expect, citizens that were killed during the war to, have a vision of that? I just thought to get a clarification from you.
Okay.
My name is Fofana, and I report for Fofana. So, when the president visited the United States of America, he invited the American government to come to Liberia and assess the resources, because natural resources. So, I would want to know how far that process.
Yes, I'm Julius. I'm from Fofana TV. Two quick questions. One, the national orator ordered the president have to see the issue of suspension of the higher. Even though the president said this is House when we expect a month or two ago to executive national reporters talking about the president making some unannounced visits to government, line ministries, and agencies. We are yet to see that. Is there any reason why, or is it in the pipeline?
My name is Anthony for ABC Radio. Thank you for the presentation. National Day of Prayer. In your presentation, you said the president in his wisdom thought that after all of the activities, that would have been the best way to acknowledge God. There could be a prayer service instead of national holiday. How was the president advised? Thank you.
Yeah, just a follow-up to that. In attendance at the program, there was the hall was relatively empty. Any message from the president related to that particular attendance issue?
All right, thank you for the first set of Ryan's question. I'll start on the question on the memorial. Whether the president will memorialize others who lost their lives. The program that happened on July 5th, on Saturday, at the Zero Complex was one of those to pay homage in memory. But also the president did mention that he will construct a memorial for victims of the civil conflict. And he will be setting up the committee very soon to be able to search and find a place so that we as a country can build this national memorial. You know, there have been some pockets of memorial sites. You know, you have you have the clay, there was a place that was built in my head, a MasterCard area that was fixed conflicts or the way they did it in that is very informing. There's also a place in Cape Town and other places across the country. But the president is intending to set up a committee or really find a way for us to do the national memorial for victims of the civil conflict. On the question of our resources when the president did visit the United States and whether or not those resources was the dream. The president and the team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there's been a back and forth. And should we have update as to what's going to happen or what next, we'll definitely let you know. But as at yet, we've not received most recent update as to whether or not the request that was made by our country was granted in its totality. But I can assure you it's an active conversation happening. They're back and forth behind the scenes until we do have concrete update as to yes, it's happening, dates, timeline, places, and what's happening next. We'll let you know. But I can confirm that it is an active conversation that's happening. As to the national orator's suggestion of the president firing instead of suspension, administratively, presidents do take decisions as they wish or they feel best fit. In some instances, the president, of course, have taken decisions to dismiss people, and the president have also suspended with the hope to investigate and put forward, as all of us did, and he will decide. But the president is an administrator; he will take the best decision in the interest of the people, in the interest of how he intends to take them. As to the unannounced visit, it's still in the pipeline. You're 100% right. It's still in the pipeline. He's done some visits, and he will do some more. But definitely, he hopes to do more of those visits. But the thing about the president, from what he's seen so far, he's always expressing his interest and admiration for ministries and agencies that are doing their best, providing him updates. And he sees, their updates regularly, but he intends to verify those by coming to pay with it. So for now, he's appreciative of those who have done their best so far. On the issue of the National Day of Prayer, whether it was supposed to be just a prayer service or a full holiday, whatnot. In the wisdom of the president decides that a holiday is necessary because this wasn't just about a prayer event. It wasn't about an event, just one event. It was really for, and I'm going to answer that question in connection to the other part of an empty hall. When the president spoke, the president did say to the Liberian people that irrespective of your religious background, he's expecting that all of us assemble in our various places of worship. The president didn't say everybody should go and attend the prayer service at Effort Baptist Church. I mean, we saw the congregation at the roundabout, the Pizzo roundabout, all there praying with the different county flags, the country flags, and all of that. They were there. So should we say that wasn't prayer? And the president was there. I was hoping that our media friends in Kula also highlighted that there were a multitude of people at the Pizzo roundabout. They were praying in the open, praying to God. In fact, under the rains, they were praying under the rain, and the president was there. The president went there and spoke at the prayer service, and he was happy that they left their church, they left the confines of the church, and came out in the open to really ask God so people can know that this is actually happening. And that would have been highlighted. And for Effort Baptist Church, the president's hope wasn't to have the whole country attend the church at Effort Baptist, but to go to different, not everybody are Baptist people. Not everyone is a Muslim or a Christian, not everyone is a Catholic, not everyone is a part of Christendom. You should assemble there, go to your hall, go to your edifice, and pray. So whether or not the church was empty, the facility is a big facility. The people who reported it probably just saw a glimpse of the live footage that was happening, but there were people there. There were lots of people there. There were visitors, actually even visitors from other countries. There were Kenyan visitors who were there. There were other people who were sitting on the far right, in the middle, on the other side. There were young people, there were students, there was the clergy, the choir, the different group of people, even press, members of the press were there. So it wasn't an empty hall. I mean, you know, sometimes when service starts, any occasion, people go earlier, and some people will say, so when people go and take a photo sooner and say, oh, the church is empty, I mean, maybe if they have waited to follow through the entire time or when the conclusion of it, then they can say, okay, let's see what was the numbers. But if you have that, what is the essence of that whole portion of the conversation? And of course, a national holiday was indeed necessary and important because it is about the country, it is about Liberia, it is where all of us, all our goals to help our country move forward. We'll take another round of questions and then we complete this process.
Okay, so there is a planned march for August 7th on the increase of drug. Madam PPS, how is the government working in collaboration with the Liberia National Police to guarantee the safety of Liberians who will be assembling at the Capitol building on August 7th?
Yes, in addition to that, the president took office a month or two after he called upon his officials, they gave a drug test, described drugs as an national emergency. I would like to know how really practical this government, especially from the end of the president, is taking the issue of fighting drugs. And two, next month, September, the president announced, and you also previously told us about the diaspora conference in September. I'd like to get updates, also planning in September. Power pack for September for this government.
Let's start September, August 1. Yes,
okay. So yes, recently the employees of the Ministry of Transport have protested against the Liberia Traffic Management deal. Just before the closure of the Senate, there was a motion to hold on to the deal, communicate with the president for a decision. Some believe that the deal is against the interest of those who are working at the Ministry of Transport. Has the president received any information from the Senate? What is the position on the deal of LTA?
Traffic management. Yes. Yes.
Follow to that. About 3 hours ago, the managing director of the Liberia Water and Soil Corporation, Mr. Moali, posted on his official Facebook page. My name is Maurice Letting anyway. And he said that the Unity Party-led government takes full responsibility for the LMTR concession agreement, which is the regarding the question my colleague asked, the traffic management stuff. How do you respond to this?
How do I respond to more at least posts?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all again. On the issue of the drugs epidemic, drug is one of the major challenges that we're dealing with as a country. The importation, the accessibility, and all of our families are impacted. In fact, talking about Facebook posts, I also posted a week ago about being a victim of a pandemic where I lost a small brother of mine to the menace, to drug addiction. And I mean, it is something that regular political conversation here and there because it is beyond politics. And August 7 March that is being planned and organized by mothers themselves who are themselves dealing with the situation because of the children who have left home and are in the street, and those of us who lost, relatives and friends to the menace. The president have heard, he's been briefed, we did inform him of the march,
And this is something that he believes himself would love to join the protesters or the marchers, however you want to call it. Because for him, as you all know, and you did mention about when he took office, because he saw how challenging it has been and how damaging to the young people. He himself took the drug test, he set up a committee headed by the Ministry of Health, with LTA and others. He's taking some action. So asking about whether or not the government is serious, of course the government is very serious about the fight, but it's a collective fight. And this is why the president is looking forward to even listen, because I did listen to one of the leaders of the march earlier this morning, and she was talking about the need that they want to also present the petition to the legislature and the executive. And the president would really love to even meet the organizers to see what can we do beyond just a regular political statement. I mean, it's a full situation, from access to our borders to even the legislature, because it's something that is intertwined, not just the presidency. The president can do his best. He's trying, he's doing his best with all sectors involved, but they also cut across with the legislature. The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency needs resources, needs budgetary allocation in the national budget. Because we can be talking about fighting drugs and dealing with high-power criminals, and we do not have resources to find them. So within the budget, the legislature can support that. And the judiciary, when in fact the LDA, they've been getting people, they've been arresting, as you have seen, they've arrested a number of persons, even within the judiciary. So in case of them and people who are responsible be held responsible if they have to go to jail and from the executive end to ensure that whatever support that is needed, the political will to do that. So it's a full Nyei. This is something that the president is 100% in support of ensuring solve and all of these different things. And today he wants to be able to work with everyone to ensure that this situation of drug addiction is put under control. So he's 100% in support of his colleagues waiting to see what the call will be and what he can do. But this time around, he wants to really the executive and whatnot. The president has taken note of it. He's been briefed. Yes, he was informed of the action of the Senate, and his team of advisors are also looking at it to advise the next course of action. But yes, this is something that he takes very seriously, and he wants to ensure that, and he wants us to also assure the Liberian people that he's not going to do anything that would jeopardize the development of people involved, the Ministry of Justice, because normally the Ministry of Justice and those people in charge of it, they sign on behalf of the government and people like the Ministry of Finance and others. So the necessary legal part will be done, and it will be done in the interest of Liberian people and not for any one particular. As to Mo Ali's comment, what is my response?